The trial of Constance Marten and Mark Gordon continues. We are here at the Old Bailey in London. It is February 2024 and the two are being tried on the following counts. First, concealing the birth of a child. Second, perverting the course of justice. Third, child cruelty. Fourth, causing death of a child. And fifth, manslaughter by gross negligence. The two are facing up to 18 years in prison. But what were the circumstances that led to this? And who are these two individuals?
Heiress and aristocrat Constance Dorothea Marten, now 36, grew up in Dorset's Crishall House estate and attended a prestigious all-girls private boarding school. At 9 years old, her father relocated to Australia abruptly. He states, despite great privilege, he felt his life was an empty shell. Did Constance share this sentiment? After reading Arabic and Middle Eastern studies at Leeds University, Constance worked as a senior researcher at Al Jazeera TV network in 2013 and pursued court reporting in 2014. Now, a decade later, she finds herself in court as a defendant with onlookers reporting on her case. Her life takes a turn when, as she states, going undercover to investigate the Synagogue Church of All Nations in Lagos, Nigeria. According to her LinkedIn profile, she wrote a pitch, researched and investigated the corruption charges and illegal activities of the group. Whether Constance actually went to Nigeria as an undercover reporter or not is still unclear, but Marten's friend claims she was not the same person when she came back. She never told us what really happened. I believe it changed her. It was a huge part of her life. Toots used to travel a lot from a young age, but when she returned from Nigeria, there were strained relations with her family. After her stint in Nigeria, Constance pursued an acting course at East 15 Drama School. During her time there, at age 29, she met Mark Gordon.
But what makes the man that is Mark Gordon? The headlines seem to precede him, and indeed very little is known about him. He was born here in the UK in Birmingham in 1974, and then his mother, Sylvia Gordon, moved him and his half-siblings over to Florida in the United States. At the age of 14, he was convicted for sexual battery.
Now, the details surrounding this arrest include Mark breaking into a house of a 25-year-old woman who he already knew and allegedly forcing himself upon her. Mark was sentenced to 20 years in prison in Fort Lauderdale. He was deported back to the UK in 2010. This glaring headline overshadows unanswered questions such as what life must have been like for him as a teenager in Florida in the 1970s and 80s, an environment where racism was still heavily prevalent, and how he as a young black man may have navigated this terrain. Could this have played a role in his conviction? Mark Gordon's half-sister Karen Satchell came forward and informed the Daily Mail, "I know my brother. If I could say to him, Mark, reach out to us. Let me know what is going on. I will do whatever I can to help." Miss Satchell, who claims her brother was wrongly convicted in America, added, "He had done 20 years of persecution in a jail, and now he is being persecuted publicly when he is just trying to start his life all over again. They are making it like Mark has kidnapped her and taken her off, and that is not the way." Between Mark's return to the UK in 2010 and meeting Constance in 2016, his life details are unclear. Constance moved in with Mark, residing in a rundown Enfield home. Her disappearance from social media, estrangement from her family, and absence at events like her brother's wedding in 2021 raised questions. The current trial reveals that Victoria, their fifth child, was born after their previous 4 children had been taken into care. Constance first gave birth in 2017, during which time she lived in a camper van. She gave birth under a false identity in Wales. Despite Mark's presence, they claimed he was someone else, allowing them to evade authorities. They faced fines regarding the camper van and subsequently lived in a festival tent, eventually leading to temporary placement for Constance and child FF. In 2021, Constance reportedly left her newborn baby II at the hospital. Care and placement orders were issued for all 4 children by January 28, 2022. Early 2023, their car exploded on the M61 motorway in Greater Manchester, prompting the defendants to flee. Amongst finding clothing, burner phones, and the passport of Constance was a placenta in the burnt vehicle. This indicated they were with a child, causing a nationwide search. Constance and Mark were found in late February without the baby. The baby's remains were discovered days later in a disused shed in Brighton, wrapped only in a plastic bag. In police interviews, Constance, sleep-deprived and disoriented, living in a tent in the South Downs area, admitted to falling asleep while holding the child and waking up to find her baby girl dead in her arms. We asked if Father Napier Martin would be willing to do an interview for Channel 5 News, to which he commented, "For Constance, it would be wrong of me to say anything right now, except to say the whole episode is a tragedy in a world full of tragedy, which assails us day in and day out." This is Channel 5 News with Andrew Callahan, and I am Maria Hildebrand.